There we go. Okay. Well, thanks again for joining tonight. You're at our second workshop, and we're going to jump in and get started and tell you all you need to know about becoming a lifeguard. And I'll just call out a special thank you to some of our sponsors. Amazon is our title sponsor of our program. Started this lifeguard training program in 2021 as we were coming out after our first year in the pandemic, and when we saw the desperate need and shortage of lifeguards and our mission to bring new public aquatic centers to our communities. I've always wanted to rebuild a culture around lifeguarding so that we have a great pathway for students to become lifeguards, and we can always have an ample supply. We'll get more to that a little bit later here. Our vision, Splash Forward, is to really build a healthier, stronger, and safer community. We would love to have equitable access to aquatic facilities and programs. And these learning to swim and being around water they're essential life skills. They foster inclusion and community connection and active lifestyles, and for all ages and all abilities. And we do envision a world where everyone is safe around water and has equitable access to our public best-in-class, world-class aquatic centers. They're always vibrant places where communities have a lot of pride, and it really is a place where everyone can show up as they are. And that's who we are. I'll just touch on this really great moment that happened on Monday night. If you don't know, we are working closely with the City of Bellevue to bring a new public aquatic center, and it's a comprehensive public aquatic center, which means it has a lot of features. There's a large 50-meter aquatic space. There's a 8 to 10 lane program teaching pool. There's a leisure pool. There's warm water therapy, and there's also what we call dry sides of the facility with fitness and community spaces. So it's this past Monday night, the City of Bellevue Council had a council meeting, and there's a place in Bellevue called Bellevue Airfield Park, and it's down near I-90. It's somewhat near Robbinswood, down below, or just to the east of Robbinswood. And it's an undeveloped park, and the city is in the midst of updating its master plan. And one of the park elements is the aquatic center. And we've been working with the city for about 5 years. And this is a nice moment where we have a recommended master plan that includes the aquatic center that the council has agreed to move into what we call an environmental study phase for the whole park. And so that environmental study phase could conclude near the end of this year, and then the council would have an opportunity to adopt the master plan, and that means we're formally a project. So we're very excited. We'd love to share this news. So thanks for tuning in to us on this little part of what we do. Our programming around trying to create more lifeguards is something that we want to do to make a difference before we have an aquatic center. But we're building a place that you all can work in the future and play in. So welcome. My name is Susan Papalardo, and I am the co-founder and president of Splash Forward. And tonight we have with us Haley Lang. And Haley,
Hi.
Introduce yourself. She's our moderator tonight.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Haley. I go to international school. I am loving working with Splash Forward, and I just completed the lifeguarding course a couple months ago, and that's how I met Susan. But this summer, I am excited to work at Woodridge and Norwood pools, which are in my neighborhood. And I would love if you guys could just make sure to use the chat if you have any questions or comments, and stay muted unless you're talking. And then let us know if you have technical issues in the chat. And if anyone wants to put their name in school and where they enjoy to spend time in the water or swimming, then that would be great, so we can all get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Haley. Yeah, feel free to drop those answers in the chat while we kind of move a little bit forward, but it's always fun to see where everybody's from. So, and where your favorite place is to be in the water. It could be anywhere. You could. Okay. For tonight, we're going to have a lot of information we're going to share with you. We are also going to keep you entertained with some polls as we go. Haley will be running those polls. We're going to cover why it's so important to become a lifeguard, why there's a lot of benefit to you as well as the community. We'll tell you about our program and what we do as we support you through the process of becoming a lifeguard and on into your future. We're here as a resource for you. We'll share with you current water safety and drowning statistics to help bring awareness to what an impact you can have in your role as a lifeguard, and having the knowledge that you learn through that process and how that's so important to be embedded in our communities. We'll have two panels. Now, I have a new news a little bit tonight. We have planned our first panel to be a discussion with aquatic managers and lifeguard instructors to help share what to expect, what it's like, what their facilities are like, and how lifeguard makes a difference. Tonight, I had the very unique experience to have all three panelists cancel within 10 minutes to go. And I will share with you why. It's because there's a shortage of lifeguards. They had staff who were unable to guard. And so when that happens, the managers or anyone who is a lifeguard, whether you're a swim instructor or what your role is, you're needed. So our panelists were all needed. Now, I did send out a little bit of an email because they all individually told me. So one of them, I said, if you could just jump on for 20 minutes. So we might have one of our aquatic managers tonight as our panel. And in lieu of that, we will speak to some of the topics that we would cover during there. And then we have a second panel with some of our amazing lifeguards who joined us. They're student lifeguards today. They went through becoming a lifeguard not too long ago. And so they once were in your shoes. And so they'll be able to tell you a little about from their perspective, which is a great way to, and it's a great opportunity to ask your questions as you learn things. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to just drop them in the chat, or if you raise your hand through the Zoom protocol, the raise your hand, we'll call on you, and Haley will make sure we don't miss you. Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for our first poll. So Haley.
All right. So the poll is, what age group has the highest rate of drowning in Washington State? 0 to 5 years old, 5 to 15, 15 to 24, 24 to 44. And go ahead and click which answer you think is the best. And I can share the results afterwards.
Yeah, and everybody can answer this, even our panelists. So go ahead and see what you think.
Yeah.
Great. I'm seeing a range of answers. So this is going to be a good learning moment. Yeah.
All right, we have almost everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and move along. So I'm going to share the results. The answer is 15 to 24 years old. So it seems like it would be maybe younger or older, but congrats on the one person who got it right.
I will share a little bit more here because I asked the question in Washington State. So that is true across the state. Now, if you were to ask this question in King County, what the age, those that answered in that 24 to 44 years old, you're close. You're correct in the age group, because it's actually, that is the age group that's the highest in King County. I will also share with you that demographics, we have a growing trend of our African American, our Black community has a higher rate of those numbers in that age group. They represent about 5% of the population, though they are about 15% of the drowning statistics. So we have a lot of racial inequities around learning to swim and having access. And so it's super important that we create more public aquatic centers that bring access to them and programs. All right. Thank you, Haley.
Yeah.
Okay. So why be a lifeguard? You are an incredible service to your community. Not only do you personally make yourself water safe, but you are there as as the eyes on community around safety. You're conveying information for people who come up and ask you questions. You're there to help people understand how to be safe around water, and you're their eyes on them. You become a role model as a lifeguard, whether you're on deck or on a beach. You are the person people go to ask their questions, and you're there as a resource for people, even if it's just giving out a Band-Aid, which is, as one of the things that can be part of your job, but really critically is helping people know how to be safe around the water. It's in terms of career development, you learn some skills that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. You develop good communication and leadership skills. You start out feeling like you don't know a lot, and you immediately are part of a team who is responsible for various aspects of how to operate the facility, what the responsibilities are. You're quickly in a role where you're needing to communicate with others, be reliable, self-advocate, make sure you're responsible for everything from your hours and communicating when you have conflicts, to really learning a lot from the mentors that are the senior lifeguards. And so there's a lot of skills that you will take forward into whatever path and journey you go towards. And there are aquatic pathways. So, lifeguards can turn into aquatic managers, can turn into facility managers. There's a lot of roles within the aquatics space. And you make money, and that's great. And that pathway is, the more experience you have, the more your capacity is to earn. Your hourly rate will go up as you gain more experience. And we have a national shortage of lifeguards. It's local and national. I'd say it's even international and that is accurate. We just have a huge shortage, and the pandemic did not help things by the timelines when people were away from the water or certifications were lapsed. We're rebuilding that pipeline of lifeguards, and you are all critically important to that as we try to be able to keep our pools open, keep our beaches open. I'm sure you've seen and heard the stories throughout the pandemic where what pools are open, what pools are closed, and some of that was the pandemic. But now a lot of the restrictions or swim lessons not being offered is because we don't have enough swim instructors or lifeguards. And I will note that swim instructors are equally in need, and lifeguards swim instructors can wear both hats. And sometimes you will have those opportunities to do that within you'll have the ability to learn those other skills. So you will be in hot demand, get your lifeguard certification, and you will be able to land a job. We'll help you with that. And these are just a couple of slides that I just want to say how you make a difference. Just drowning is preventable, right? That's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid losing lives or having impact to drowning. 47 children and teens have died from drowning in Washington from 2018 to 2020. Those are all preventable. Many times they were in open water. Many times they weren't wearing life jackets in situations that they should have been wearing life jackets. In our lakes, rivers, and oceans. And for each drowning death, another 8 receive emergency care and suffer long-term health issues. And so a lot of the times that's called near drowning, and you'll hear that term. And I touched a little bit on the disparities due to racism, age, or skills. Having that skill set, you saw the age group that's has more drowning deaths. And so sometimes that's just disparities of knowledge or experience or learn to swim. Unfortunately, it is true that males have a higher risk. For every 10 males for every 1 female that has drowned. So there's more. Keeping our male community knowledge and water safe is important. And so that's, again, creating access and having that information. And water safety does work, right? Learning to swim. If you learn to swim, you're 88% less likely to drown. So that's a huge statistic. So we encourage the number one thing you can do is learn to swim. Wearing a U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket that fits you properly. Knowing when to have them on, whenever you're around water in a way where you're on craft, near water, playing, where you don't have the skills to be a safe swimmer, having that life jacket on. It's not something you can throw on when you have trouble. It's something that needs to be on beforehand. Know where lifeguards are at our beaches, and go when you're swimming and with your friends, make sure you go to places that are lifeguarded. So check in advance, know, and practice active supervision. Well, gosh, what does that mean? The next point is, I don't think we mentioned it here, but a little bit later, we're going to talk about water watchers, but that's somebody in your group. It doesn't necessarily matter the age. It's someone that is going to be saying, hey, if there's trouble, I'm calling 911. I got my eyes on everybody. That's what active supervision is. Or an adult that's with young children that is not on a cell phone and that is actively watching around water.
Yeah.
Know the weather, know water conditions. When you go to an ocean, when you go to a river, observe it, take it in, understand what it's like, and judge whether it's a safe water scenario for you to be in. When weather can change quickly or water conditions are not safe, you could learn how to identify those. Learning CPR, I think you all probably have been in 7th grade and have learned CPR through the Bellevue School District, maybe most of you. That's outstanding. I am working on an initiative. I hope over time that we can also introduce lifeguarding when you go through that we can just talk about it and introduce it as something for students to think about. And then learning how to respond to whether you are an emergency or others are. We won't go too far into that tonight, but there are things you can do to make yourself safer if you're in trouble, flipping over, floating like a starfish, and relaxing, which is hard to relax when you're in trouble, but it is the one thing that will keep you safe while you wait for help. And if someone else is in trouble, who's heard, reach, throw, don't go. If you've heard that, it's one of the things that we try to ingrain in people, to not jump in if someone else is in trouble. A lot of times you put at risk 2 people if somebody else jumps in. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to now move us into a poll. So,
Okay, okay, what are ways to reduce the chances of drowning in our local waters? 1, swimmer lifeguards are present. 2, learn to swim. 3, swim with a buddy and assign a water watcher. And 4, wear a life jacket when on or around open water. And I'm going to send this now. And it's multiple choice, so choose as many as you want. And Susan, just to let you know, Patrick did join in.
oh,
I
great.
admitted him when you were talking. So
Great. Thank you, Patrick. Really appreciate it.
all right, we're getting good answers here.
Looks like it's settled down there.
Yeah. All right, let's share the results here. So the answer is all of them. So almost everyone got that. Swimwear lifeguards are present, learn to swim, swim with a buddy, and assign a water watcher, and wear a life jacket when on or around open water.
Excellent. You guys are
Thank you, Susan.
right on. Tell all your friends all those answers whenever you can. All right. I'm going to do a program overview, and I know Patrick is joining us. He's one of our aquatic managers, and as I mentioned early on, we had a shortage at the beginning of our workshop. So Patrick, I'm going to make the best use of your time because I know you only have 20 minutes to give us. So I'm going to do, and let me just see here. Let me just do a quick overview, and then we'll jump right into some questions with Patrick, who's an aquatic manager for the Bellevue Aquatic Center. Right, so we do cover the cost of lifeguard training certification, and we enroll you into an American Red Cross lifeguard training class that are held at our aquatic centers. And so we post when they're being held. You can sign up and choose times that work for you. Times don't work for you, we keep you on our waiting list, alert you to when there's more, and we ultimately get you through a class that works with your schedule. They're called blended learning, and that means there's both an online portion as well as an in-water training portion. And when you say, hey, sign up for a lifeguard training class, that's that in-water portion. Ahead of the class, you will get the online portion, you'll receive a link, you'll take, it's all, you will take that class. It takes about 6 to 8 hours. So there's planning that you need to do to make sure that you can complete that before you show up on the first day of the lifeguard training class. Classes are offered year round, and we try to make those as available. We try to learn about whenever they're being held and make sure that we communicate them through our website. And so we'd like to do it at aquatic centers that hopefully are ones either you're going to work at or close by where you live. We provide you resources to finding a job. We have contact information for pretty much all the aquatic managers at our local facilities. And we have a little bit of information about each of them, of what makes them a little bit more unique, or what those facilities would like you to know. And we have sample cover letters and resume. And it might be the very first time you've ever done or thought about a cover letter and a resume, and you have experiences in your life to date. You don't have to have worked prior, but if you have, that's great. But we have suggestions in that resume for what to put in there. And those help tell the story of who you are to somebody who's going to hire you. But we help you through that process, and we're here for you to ask questions as you go through the entire process. And even after you're hired, if you want to, come back and ask for more resources, or you need recertification, that's another thing we've just started to do with some of the students that have gone through our program. We hope to support more students. We've done 76 to date, and we would hope to do 80 more this year. And some of you will be some of those. Tell your friends. It's always fun to lifeguard with your friends. And we do offer, if you and a friend both go through our program, you both become lifeguards, we'll give you, the person who referred, $25. All right, I'm going to introduce you. These were our 3 panels as of 4:30 today. We tonight have the illustrious Patrick Simmons from the Bellevue Aquatic Center. And so I'm going to let Patrick introduce himself. He'll talk a little bit about what roles he's played, and then I'm going to ask Patrick some questions, and we'll go from there. So Patrick, how are you?
Hi. It's been an interesting night. Hi, everybody. Thanks for letting me share with you guys tonight. I really appreciate it. As I said, my name is Patrick Simmons. I am the current recreation supervisor for the Bellevue Aquatic Center. I have been working with the city of Bellevue for 20 years, and I've been working as a lifeguard for about 28. I have played all sorts of different roles, from just a general lifeguard, a lifeguard instructor, a lead guard, a facility assistant manager. And so I've been in aquatics my entire life. I love it. I love seeing the impact that aquatics has on the patrons who use our facility.
Patrick, thank you. I really appreciate it. So guys, Patrick is the one, when people cancel, he has to go sit in the chair, and he has to make it work for the facility. And he's done that countless times since the pandemic. We should all really give Patrick a big round of applause for being here. I asked him, okay, can you give me 20 minutes? So he scrambled to find somebody to cover and make this work. So Patrick, let's have you share with everyone here what you look for in a lifeguard, and what it's like to be a part of your staff at the Bellevue Aquatic Center.
So as far as what we look for in a lifeguard, we look for, one, people who love the water and people who really interact well with the patrons. Attitude goes a real long way for lifeguarding as well as for swim instructors. People who are outgoing and can engage with the public. We also look for people who are responsible and can understand the importance behind the job. All of our lifeguards are out there. They're maintaining a safe facility so that people can enjoy the water, can learn to swim, and become safer in and around the water. And that is a huge responsibility. So we really want staff who understand that level of responsibility and are up to the commitment. As far as working at the aquatic center, I mean, I feel it's a pretty fun place to work. It is a very diverse, we serve a very diverse population, from ability levels where there's learn to swim, swim team, for different physical abilities, neuro and emotional abilities. It is just a very broad range of patrons that use our facility. And so, as I said, it's amazing the good work that goes on in this pool, and just seeing how that impacts all the patrons' lives makes me feel good as a manager, and hopefully it makes my staff feel good as well. And we try and keep it as a fun environment. We do monthly trainings where we can get in and learn skills. Yeah, so I think Zephan might be able to answer what it's like from a lifeguard to work at the aquatic center, but from a management perspective, that's how I view it.
Patrick, thank you. Yes. And for those of you that have been in the Bellevue Aquatic Center, it is the only public aquatic center that we have in our community. Some of our other pools that you'll learn about through the lifeguards that are on the call tonight are community pools. But we're really thankful that we do have our one Bellevue Aquatic Center. So it's a great place. And let's see, Patrick, you want to talk to kind of what hours are typical for working as a lifeguard, and just walk us through a little bit, you know, what does a day in the life of a lifeguard look like when they show up?
So we are pretty flexible as far as hours go. We try and gauge schedule assignments based upon our staff's essentially life, what's going on. If they're school students, typically if it's a weekday, it's going to be from 4 o'clock up until potentially 9 o'clock. Weekends operating maybe between 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock. We run rotations, so you may guard for half an hour in one pool, move on to the next, and then we have an off rotation period where staff are on duty ready to respond, but they don't have to be actively supervising what's going on in the water. So this does give them a chance to kind of decompress. If it's a busy swim, they get some time that's down where they don't have to be super on top and focused. And then as far as like the day in the life, it is watching whether it's swim teams, swim lessons, our adaptive programs that are operating in the pool. It is monitoring that to make sure that everybody is safe in and around the water, as well as some potential like minor work around the facility, cleaning up a locker room, vacuuming, just kind of minor upkeep. And then, as I said, monthly trainings where we will build upon the skills and just keep people comfortable in their roles, so that if an emergency happens, that they know that they can respond and do it successfully.
Thank you, Patrick. You know, you mentioned downtime, and we should just sort of say that there are two pools at the Bellevue Aquatic Center. There's a warm water pool, and then there's a cooler water training pool, lap swimming pool. But there's different depths of water. You know, there's actually a deep water well that's attached to that cold water pool, and there's a slide. There can be a lot to watch when you're a lifeguard at your peak hours in your facility. So when Patrick mentioned that downtime, I just wanted to say that, you know, as a lifeguard, you'll enjoy that downtime when you're not having to have eyes on water, and you can sort of, but you're scheduled always to manage that. How long are you looking at the water for any one period of time? What are those durations?
So the general rotation schedule is a half hour each pool. So you would spend a half hour guarding in our Blue Lagoon, our lap pool starting, and then you would rotate over to our Warm Springs pool so that you're not kind of stuck in one place for that full hour duration. During some of our busier swims, we actually, if we get really busy, we shorten up the rotation times if we have sufficient guards, so that we, as opposed to going like a half an hour and a half an hour, we may go like a 20-minute rotation, just so the staff can rotate around a little bit more quickly. And the change of perspective, the change of scenery can often go a long ways towards helping our staff stay focused in on maintaining safety around the water.
Excellent. Thank you. I want to ask you about how you support new lifeguards, as well as once you are a lifeguard, how you support them so that they can grow their skills and be a successful lifeguard and explore other aquatic career paths. What does it look like when you're at the Bellevue Aquatic Center in a year?
So I should mention that in addition to the Bellevue Aquatic Center, we also staff beach parks during the summer, and that does allow for essentially a skills progression. As far as supporting new staff, as I said, we do monthly training so staff can stay up to date. We also offer, I put myself out there for if anybody wants to schedule extra training times, if they don't feel comfortable with a particular skill, I'm happy to schedule an extra training with them. I've done that with quite a few of the staff recently, where we were able to hop in the waters and polish up some of their rescue skills. Once again, with the mindset of we want, if somebody has to respond, that we want them to be comfortable in that response. We also offer advancements through staff who show the responsibility can train towards becoming a lead guard at our facility, or work as a supervisor out at one of our beach parks. And we also look to try and train staff in more certifications, such as lifeguard instructor certification, which is viable across the country. If you get your American Red Cross lifeguard instructor certification, that you could go to Texas and that certification will be valid and you'd be able to instruct lifeguards down there. So there are other opportunities for an advancement. And we do, in the past, we have been able to connect up some of our staff with emergency services where they can do ride-alongs. If that's their interest, they want to become fire department, paramedic, police officer, we have been able to arrange for those to give people some hands-on experience that's even outside the aquatics field.
Excellent. Would you share with everybody here what the pay is for a new lifeguard?
So the current starting pay, if you were to come straight out of a lifeguard training class, is $17.50 an hour. We are offering a hiring bonus as we're recruiting for summer, where you would get an initial $75 hiring bonus. And depending upon how many hours you work throughout the summer, you would have the potential to get up to another $175 at the end of the summer.
Fantastic. That sounds like a good motivation.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Last year we SPLASHForward offered an incentive because we really needed to be able to have enough lifeguards to open the beaches. And so we put out there an incentive as well. So watch for that if we might do that again this year too. Well, Patrick, is there anything else you want to share to these prospective lifeguards?
So having been in the aquatics field for as long as I have, it can be an extremely rewarding experience. Some of my favorite memories in life have been working with the staff through training, teaching swim lessons, which I can't stress the importance of enough. Getting people learning to swim is like one of the primary keys to water safety. But just knowing that I've had that direct impact on people's lives, and as a lifeguard for as long as I've been, I have made multiple rescues. I have saved people's lives where potentially they wouldn't be here today if I had not been there in that role. And being able to say that you were there and were able to save somebody's life is a very powerful thing. And it's a very rewarding thing. Hopefully my lifeguards won't have to fall under that same situation. Like, we train in case it happens, and I hope it never happens for anybody, because it is stressful, and people need to be aware as a lifeguard that it is a stressful job. You are required to be trained up almost like a firefighter to be able to respond in an emergency. But the rewards that you can get from that are well worth the effort that you would put into it.
Thanks for highlighting that, Patrick. And I think I'll just take a minute to say, if you have known, I know we asked this question when you registered, if you know somebody that has a near drowning or has drowned, and if you do have somebody in your, that you just take a minute that it's, just honor that that's not easy. And it's a significant loss. And we just everyone here wants to prevent that, right? That's why we're here and why we're interested, so that we can prevent those scenarios from happening and that nobody ever has to lose someone to drowning. But yeah, so thanks for being here. And Patrick, I just want to say thank you for your time. I know you got to get back to being a lifeguard at the moment at the Bellevue Aquatic Center and keeping eyes on everything so that it's safe. And is it a pretty busy time right now at the pool?
Yeah, we've got swim teams going, and we've got, actually Wednesdays are typically our busiest day. So there's a lot of usage in both pools at this time. Probably like a good 30 to 40 people over in our Warm Springs pool. And I think swim team, dive team going right now. So yeah, pretty busy.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, we'll let you get back to it and keep everybody safe and have fun. But thanks for popping in. I so appreciate that you were able to give us your time tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to help. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing from Patrick. I know Mark Feeney is the aquatics manager at Samina. He's also, guys, has spent his lifetime as in the aquatics field. He became a lifeguard at Samina, and he's had a journey that took him through Samina, away, and then he came back, and now he's the aquatics manager. And he's really great partner that we work with locally here on some of our programming. And Sophia, who would have been on, was from Wave Aquatics, which operates the Redmond pool and the Juanita High School pool. Both of those are close to high schools in a way that they have a lot of students that are close by that become lifeguards, but they are also two of our other our public pools in our area. And Sophia is a swim teacher and instructor, but her voice was definitely one where she enjoyed being a lifeguard too in high school. But she also, when she went to college, she continued to be a lifeguard. It is a great college job to have. If your college has a pool or you're in a community near a pool, you can be a lifeguard during college and make money while you're in college. So it is something that you get to take with you. Do you have any questions? I know Patrick had to hop off and I didn't give you an opportunity to ask questions, but if you have any questions about anything that you've heard, you can ask it now or you type it in the chat, or you can always send it later if you're not comfortable asking it tonight. Okay, well, if it does come up, I'll let you ask. I'm going to move us forward into, hey, what to expect and what are prerequisites and what do I need to do to be able to become a lifeguard? All right, so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what the training days are like. We've mentioned that online course that needs to be completed prior to coming to the lifeguard training, and it takes 6 to 8 hours. You do have to have a minimum score of 80%, and you get a result on your screen that you have to show when you come in and show, yep, look, I passed. You have the water time when you're in the lifeguard training class at the Bellevue Aquatic Center. It spends Friday, Saturday, Sunday. At the Bellevue Club, it's Saturday, Sunday. At Samina, it's you know what? I think it's actually another 2-day one. It depends when they hold it. It depends. There's a total number of hours that they need to have to the training to be an American Red Cross lifeguard training course, but different facilities break those hours up differently and structure it, and some give a little bit more time to give more practice time during the training. But you're in the water, you're out of the water. We always advise that you have dry clothes, you bring your towel. When you have your water time, then you will sometimes you'll have breaks during that. You'll have snack breaks, lunch breaks, or dinner breaks, depending on what time the class is being held. You always bring clothes to change into for classroom time, and then you get back into your wet gear for the water time. On the very last day is when you do a lot of practicing of all the skills that you've been learning, and you prepare to take your test. of those skills in the water. And then once you're go through the testing portion in the water, you then are in a you're drying off and you're taking the online dry test that day to complete your certification. And again, everything has to pass with that minimum grade of 80%. Your lifeguard certification is valid for 2 years, and we do support, like I said, we started this program in 2021. So this year is our first year where we have students that have gone through and are needing recertification, and we do come back to us. I do reach out and say, hey, we're offering to support you. We want to keep our lifeguards being lifeguards. And the prerequisites. You must be 15 years old by the last day of your training. It can't be the day after. We've had one scenario where, and I think they're on the call tonight, where you turn your birthday, you turn the day after the last day of class. Well, it has to be American Red Cross. It has to be, you have to be 15 before the last day. So you can turn 15 during your training. So your swim skills, and I will note here, we didn't get to talk about it yet, but when Patrick mentioned that you can be a beach lifeguard through the city of Bellevue, you have to be 16 to be a beach lifeguard. So 15 is to the age for being a pool lifeguard, and then 16 for a beach lifeguard. All right, there's a swim test. And these are skills that if you don't have them today, you're not sure if you have them today, we want to help you feel confident in them. And so we will help you arrange time to practice them, or to go to a facility like the Bellevue Aquatic Center or Samina and have someone there, a head lifeguard, show you these skills so you can actually learn what they are and see them. But you have to swim 300 meters without stopping. It's not timed. I think I don't know if I can say all, but of the ones I know of, they let you wear your goggles. So you swim 300 meters without stopping. And that's an endurance. It's just a test to see if you have enough endurance. That's something you can practice for prior if you feel like you want to get in shape to be able to swim that 300 meters. Tread water for 2 minutes without using your arms. So you're just using your legs, and for 2 minutes. That's something you can practice, get comfortable with. And from the pool's edge, you go in, swim about 25 yards out to retrieve a 10-pound brick, and up in the right-hand corner, this black brick, that's the brick. It's a rubberized, heavy 10-pound brick that sinks to the bottom of a pool, and you have to go down and retrieve it. So you have to know how to get yourself down underwater and go and pick up that brick, swim up to the surface, put it on your shoulder, and you're holding it with 2 hands, and then you're just using your legs to swim back to the pool's edge. And you have to do that. That's the timed one in 1 minute 40 seconds. You're like, wow, I don't know if I can do it in 1 minute 40. Everybody I've spoken with says, oh, it's totally achievable. So it's something to practice. And that's a great one too. We support you to go to the facilities. You won't be charged. You tell them that you're with SPLASHForward, and they'll allow you to practice these skills. And we do ask you when you register whether you would like to do that, and then we'll coordinate with you. Any questions here before I move on? Okay, well, we do have lifeguards here, so who've been through this. So if you think of questions, they'll jump in and answer them in the chat as we go forward. For 2023, we have options for you. Some of you may have already gone on to our website and signed up for these. We'll show you the QR code at the end, and we'll make sure you have it in email as well. But these are sessions based on your schedule. You can sign up for any one of these across either at the Bellevue Club, the 2 weekends in May. They're both, you have to go both days, and they're 8 to 6. And I will say, in general, it depends on the students in the class of how late that session will go. They have to make sure they cover all the materials. But if people are getting it, and it's, they're having, people are mastering those skills, or they've covered all the material, they don't keep you there till the end. So it's just as a guide. I forgot to update this slide. We do have our May dates. The May dates for the Bellevue Aquatic Center are the 12th, 13th, and 14th. So similar weekend to the Bellevue Club. And the Bellevue Aquatic Center is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if none of these work, let us know. There's more that we offer, and we will make sure that you find one that is right with your schedule. And if you're not yet 15 years old and you're on this call tonight, register with us. We'll keep you on the list, and we know that we'll track your birthdays, and we'll make sure that when you do turn 15, that we will get you registered. And we will be exploring, just for those who might not yet be 15, might be in middle school, we will be exploring ways to shadow existing lifeguards so that you can watch and kind of go and observe a lifeguard while they are working. There is something called being a junior lifeguard, and some of our pools do have those programs. I know Kirkland has a summer program with it. So let us know if you're interested in that. All right, how about another poll, Haley?
Yeah, of course. This one is, how old do you have to be a certified lifeguard? 18, 16, 21, or 15?
That was quick. We got.
Yeah, we got a lot of them. 100% already. Wow.
Yeah. When the
All
information
right.
is right before.
And we got it right. It's 15 years old for a pool lifeguard and 16 years old for a beach lifeguard. So good job on that one.
Thank you, Haley. All
Yeah,
right.
of course.
Yeah, awesome. That's a picture of lifeguard training where they're practicing the water rescues, and they're partnering, and one person is the victim and the other is working to rescue them and properly use the flotation device, which can be tricky in water. Okay, now we're going to have our panel with our students that are on the call tonight with us, and everybody who's on the call or who's our student lifeguards. They have their screens on, so you're going to actually see them. Patrick has a device where he can't have his screen on, so I apologize. I forgot to sort of mention that, but we couldn't show Patrick. You didn't have the tech. But why don't, Anna, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Anna, and I work at Samina Swim and Recreation Club, and I go to Cleveland STEM High School. It's a high school in Seattle.
Thank you for joining us, Anna. Zephan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi guys, I'm Zephan. I'm 17 and I lifeguard for the city of Bellevue. I'm a beach and pool lifeguard and swim instructor. And I also do swim instructing and lifeguarding at the Samina Swim and Recreation Club.
Excellent, thank you, Zephan. And Haley, you've already introduced yourself, but we'll just do another one.
Yeah, I am a certified lifeguard. I got my certification a couple months ago and am working at 2 pools this summer, and I go to international school. And yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of our student lifeguards here some questions, and so we can learn a little bit more about what it's like to actually be a lifeguard. So why don't you start off with, I'll be asking each of you, what motivated you to become a lifeguard? So Zephan, what motivated you to become a lifeguard?
So at the end of my sophomore year of high school a year ago, I was looking for a job, and I had a couple different options. And I ended up with lifeguarding because I heard through SPLASHForward about the lifeguard shortage, and I saw that the beaches were closing. And when I first moved to Bellevue, my first summer here, I went to the beaches. The beach parks are very pretty. They're super fun to be at. It's really fun to swim there. And I wanted to help keep them open. So that was one of the reasons that I decided to start lifeguarding. I got my certification about a year ago, and I immediately jumped in and I've worked about 500 hours now, mostly at the beaches, and then also at the Bellevue Aquatic Center and also the Samina pool.
Awesome, thank you, Zephan. Yeah, it's outstanding that you saw the need happening, and now look at you. You've done almost everything across all of it. It's a great experience. Anna, what motivated you to become a lifeguard?
I wanted a job and I really liked water and I was interested in learning more about first aid, so I decided that lifeguarding would be a good option.
Fantastic. And would you say, Anna, you received your lifeguard certification through our program in December. And would you say that it's lived up to what you had hoped it would be when you, now that you are a lifeguard?
Yeah, it definitely has. I really do like my job.
Great. I should ask that too, Zephon. I would assume you would say the same.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love my job.
Excellent. And Haley, I'm going to ask you it a little bit differently. What motivated you? But then I also want to know what you hope it will be like now that you're hearing everybody. But what motivated you to become a lifeguard?
I've always wanted to be a lifeguard since I was younger. I've been on swim team for my neighborhood pool for almost 10 years, maybe a little less, but it's been I've always wanted to be a lifeguard, and I really hope that this summer will just be super fun, super interesting. I really enjoyed the classes, and I'm just hoping it'll be a great learning experience and a great job to have. And I know a lot of the other lifeguards, and so I hope it's going to be a great community. And since I've been like a little kid, I've always watched the lifeguards and just the community that they have, and I've just been really excited to do that when I was older.
Fantastic. And Zephon and Anna, I bet you can speak to. You probably have a lot of new friends through this whole process now that you're a lifeguard. Yes?
Yeah, for sure. Ever since I signed on, I've made friends with a ton of my coworkers. One of my favorite parts about being a lifeguard is the coworkers and being on a team. And I've had some really great times, especially over the summer at the beaches. It's super fun just being outdoors with people that you eventually become friends with.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to ask you guys, what are your hours like for you personally? We heard from Patrick what hours you can work, but how does it work? How do you fit your school schedule, your athletic schedule if you're an athlete? How do you balance your time to work, and what are your walk us through a little bit of like what it looks like for you in a week with working as a lifeguard or a swim instructor? Zephon, why don't you go first?
Okay, so currently I only work 1 or 2 shifts a week because I'm finishing my international baccalaureate degree right now, and I'm a track athlete. I run cross country as well, and I tutor and take piano lessons. So I'm very busy. But especially the Bellevue Aquatic Center, but everywhere that I've worked, Samina and the city of Bellevue, they're very flexible with hours. I've had my coworkers like pick up my shifts when I can't make it last minute. They've fit their schedule perfectly in with mine. For most of the school year, I've only worked weekends, and that's worked perfectly for me. And over the summer, I worked so the beach shifts, which if you're considering becoming a lifeguard, I would 100% recommend the beach. Especially as a high schooler, they're a ton of fun. You get to be outdoors. And the shifts are about 7 hours long. So you can sleep in, which is amazing. And then your workday starts at about 11:45. You show up at your assigned beach and you help set up like a tent and table and chairs and a bunch of other stuff. You put out your like paddle boards, lifeguard rescue gear. And then you guard from noon to 7, and then you go home. And those shifts were amazing. I was working like 40 hours a week, 5 days a week over the summer, and the beach shifts are super fun. And during the school year, they'll be super flexible with your school schedule as well.
Thank you for sharing that, Zephon. I mean, it's great to know that you and aquatic facilities know that primarily high school students are available mostly on those weekends. But they rely on them for programming. And so an aquatic center will scale what it can do based on when they know they have their lifeguards. But that summertime can really, you can basically work as much as you'd like. That you can't, but you have a big potential to And I'm sure Zephan earned, actually, Zephan, you were one of the ones that earned our bonus last summer. And you probably earned both the city's bonus and our bonus, right?
And yeah,
Yeah, with all
signed
those. Cool. Anna, why don't you talk to what your hours are like in this, you just became a lifeguard in, roughly January this year, and what it's like with balancing your school and working.
Sorry, it took a second to turn my mic on. I also just work weekends. At Samina, the shifts are usually around like 4 hours, the one I did, like 3-4 hours. And so yeah, I work then. I am hoping to work more in the summer, and they send out like every once in a while like a shift availability form, so you can always change the hours you're available to work. And yeah, since I work on weekends for just like 4 hours a day, I'm able to get all my homework done and everything in that amount of time. So
Can you also talk to what it looks like when people want to trade hours? How does that work? Or not trade hours, but like, oh, they need, like, you can't do the hours you're signed up for. How does it, what does it look like when you have to do that?
usually if someone needs someone to cover their shift, there's on our like schedule, there's a list of the contact information for all of your coworkers. And so they'll just like text people and ask if they're able to take over the shift. And then you write your name. If you are, you write your name on the schedule, and then you just notify your like head guard, and then they take your shift and they get paid for it.
Great. And it's your responsibility to find somebody if you can't guard.
Yeah, it's your responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Zephan,
also, oh, sorry.
go ahead, Anna.
You're also able to request time off beforehand for Samina. Like you have to, you do like a request time off form 2 weeks before, like you would usually have your shift, and then you can get time off without having to find a cover. And I believe they have to approve those if you do it in the right amount of time.
Good to know. Zephan, did you want to add anything there?
Yeah, I'll mostly speak towards working for the city of Bellevue, since Anna's got Samina, and I work most of my hours for the city anyway. They're very, very flexible. You just, for each season, we have like spring, fall, winter, summer. For each season, you just message our boss, which is currently it's Brandy, and you just tell her or tell Pat like, hey, I'm only available these days, or I can't work these times, and they'll fit it into your schedule. We use an app called When to Work. Super helpful. You can see your schedule, other people's schedules. You can pick up shifts, drop shifts, request people to trade your shifts. And it kind of, for me and many of my coworkers, it kind of works on like a sort of like an honor basis. Like you should be showing up to your shifts, and you should communicate with your lead guards and your bosses on when you can work. But if something comes up, for me, it's never been a big deal. I've missed some shifts. I haven't been able to show up because I like woke up sick, or I had issues getting there, or an event ran late, and so I couldn't make it. And I have like a couple of people who will often trade shifts with me. Like they'll pick up shifts for me and I'll cover for them. And it's super chill. Some days I just haven't been able to show up. I couldn't find a sub, and I just messaged the lead guard, told them like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And they were like, it's fine. Sometimes I've like requested if I can just work the latter half of the shift or the first half because I have to head out early or whatever, and they'll work with you. So it's super, super good.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing across both you and Anna is communication. So you basically, as long as you are communicating, you're more like, you're putting your managers in a better position to be able to run their pools and to know. So good communication skills, you'll definitely develop them. You'll learn how to rely on others and help others in their scenarios just as much as you're going to need help, because I think it all pays forward. So great. Thanks for sharing that. I'd like what would you want to tell somebody who's on this call tonight? What would you want to tell them if they're maybe not sure about their swim skills, or if their swim skills are good enough, could you tell them about a little bit about your progression with what skills that you had when you went through the training or before, and what it's like now and your confidence kind of on that journey? Anna, do you want to talk to that?
I was actually super nervous at first. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do the diving test specifically because the pool that I was doing it at was about like 11 feet deep. But I practiced a little bit beforehand and I was able to do it, and I was super happy. And I was also nervous about learning all of the lifeguarding skills at the training. And luckily, I had a their instructor works really closely with you and will help you and give you all the support you need in my case. And I was able to learn the skills in the time. And I would just advise people to kind of be confident in themselves that they can learn these skills.
Excellent, Anna. Thank you so much. Your lifeguard instructors want nothing more for you to master your skills and are very patient people. That's why they become lifeguard instructors. And it's even if you are a lifeguard instructor, some of those skills take practice, and that's why Patrick spoke to the trainings that they do on an ongoing basis. So yeah. Haley, I'm going to ask you, since you just went through this, it's a little nerve-wracking, right, to do some of those skills and to master them. If you want to talk a little bit to your experience and what you might advise some of the folks on the call.
Yeah. So I did mine a couple months ago. I was pretty nervous going into it because I didn't really know what to expect. I was pretty confident in my prereqs because I'd done swim team before. So, but if you are not confident about those, I would advise you to maybe go a couple days or a weekend before and practice, do a couple laps, just do your best to feel more confident. And then during the course, they're not going to move on without you, or if you can't do something, they're not gonna just keep going and have everybody else just move on too. Like they'll wait for you, they'll make sure you've got the skills down, and then make sure everyone is at the right point to where they can all pass their tests and work as a team, and both written and physical tests. So I would just, like Anna said, have confidence, trust your abilities, and definitely if you're not feeling as confident, I would recommend practicing before.
Thank you, Haley. That's just really great advice. And I hope everybody knows, there's time, you're going to be nervous about some of it, but getting in and doing it, it's very physical activity. And the more you practice it, the more confident you are with it. Stefan, did you want to add anything to that before we have to sort of move on here from our panel?
Yeah, I've actually helped instruct and give tips to a couple of lifeguard classes at this point. And I've given pointers to lifeguards coming in. I've never seen anyone fail the lifeguard class, not a single person. I've seen, and you get 2 attempts on all your exams. And the lifeguard instructors, they want you to pass. No one wants you to fail. And I would say the biggest thing, the only thing that I've seen prevent people from completing their training is those prerequisite swims. And when I went in for lifeguard training, I could not do the brick dive at first. I don't know if you remember that. I think you do.
I definitely remember the Stefan. Yeah. And I loved the communication that you had with it too. Tell that story.
Yeah, so I could not do the brick dive because I've always known how to swim. I learned to swim at a very young age, but I never did swim team. And it had been a super long time since I had last swam. When I walked in for lifeguard training, I didn't practice. I just walked in and I figured I could do it. The Bellevue Aquatic pool where you do it is 13 feet deep. So I was not able to get the brick, and I was like, this is really bad. And I was like, I don't want to, I really wanted to be a lifeguard. So I practiced. I signed up for the class that was the following weekend. And then I practiced. After school, I went to the pool a couple days with my friends and practiced the brick dive. And it's I was physically in shape to do it, but it is largely a mental thing to force yourself to dive down that deep. But once you like do it once, then it clicks and it becomes easier. The second time I passed my lifeguard training, started working, and now I've done like up to like 23 feet dives at the beaches. So you just have to practice the skills, and I would definitely go in before you do your class and make sure you can do those prerequisite skills, especially if you aren't doing swim team or anything, because some of those things you'd be surprised, especially if it's been a while, at how much you will have forgotten them. But it just takes practice, and the lifeguard classes at the Bellevue Aquatic Center, the 3-day course, I know some are 2 days, but for the 3-day course, on Sunday, it's only the test, and the entire Sunday morning, you spend reviewing any skills you want to. And you can just tell your lifeguard instructor, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this. And then they'll run through it with you, and you can practice it as many times as you want. And then Sunday afternoon, you take your exams, and I was out of there by like 1:30. So it's pretty short after you start taking the exams. And I passed all of mine without using the second try. Only one person in my class needed a second try on one of their exams. So you will be ready by the end of the class.
Stefan, thank you so much. And I do remember you had such good communication. You're like, I didn't pass the dive test. And I'm like, if you want to become a lifeguard, Stefan, you're going to become one. You just need to practice it. And he did. And it is true. I mean, if you really do want to become a lifeguard, you will become one. And it's just a matter of getting that confidence and comfort. And it's exciting because you don't have to be a top end swimmer to become a lifeguard. You have to be a confident, strong swimmer, and one that learns how to just master the skills. So thank you for sharing. We're going to, I'll take an opportunity right now. I know we're getting to have just a couple more things I want to close with, but I want to give you just a quick second. Do you want to ask any of these awesome lifeguards any questions that you have? You can either unmute or you can type in the chat. All right, we've got a quiet group tonight, but it's okay. These lifeguards have covered quite a bit of things where maybe some of your questions have been answered. All right, it's time for our final poll here. Haley?
Okay, so this poll is, when was the last time a new public pool was built on the east side? 22 years ago, 30 years ago, 52 years ago, or 63 years ago?
And I do see the question in the chat, and we will answer that after this poll.
Susan, if you want to go ahead, you can answer that verbally if you'd like after the poll.
Yeah.
So we've gotten 100%. I'll share the results. The answer is 52 years ago. So it's a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time, and that's why we exist. SPLASHForward is a nonprofit, and we are partnering with our cities to help bring new pools. These pools were built in the 1970s, and it's time. And when these pools are all 6-lane pools, some of you know kind of what you can do and what you can't do in some of these pools, or what it feels like to be in them, and it doesn't feel modern. But we hope to bring just some really best-in-class aquatic facilities. The picture behind me is a rendering of a visualization of what a new facility could feel like. But boy, our pools are old. Great. So the question that was asked was, how often do you practice swimming, right? And I know that answer is going to vary between everybody here. But if you guys want to take a quick, if Anna, Stefan, or Haley, do you want to talk about how often you are in the water?
Yeah,
actually,
oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah. I actually don't, especially now, I'm so busy, I don't practice swimming. I generally, over the summer, I would practice a little more, especially like when it gets to like 110 degrees over the summer. I liked being at the beach because I can just like as soon as I'm on my down, I just jump in the water and it's great. So I did practice swimming a lot more over the summer and did dive training and all sorts of other stuff in the water. And I stayed after work sometimes to swim with my coworkers, and we played like volleyball and football on the beach. But now, especially during like winter, fall, spring, I don't swim regularly. Especially, it varies. Some of my coworkers swim a lot because they're on swim team, but for me, I'm rarely in the water, if at all, on a weekly basis. Aside from, you know, the intermediate trainings that we do to keep our skills up, but you don't have to regularly practice swimming.
This is a great question, Pierce. Anna, did you want to answer?
Yeah, for me, it's the exact same thing. I don't really practice swimming that much, just mostly during the summer. Yeah.
And Haley, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so I was on swim team. So before I took the course, I was just my season was over a couple months ago. It was the girls swim team was a fall season, but other than that, I was not in the pool probably at least a month or two before my course. But if you're not confident, then I feel like it would be a good idea to practice. And in the summer, I'm in the pool a lot because of summer swim and just having 2 pools near my house. But yeah, not recently, and not at all during the winter, other than swim team.
And these, yeah, and you're gonna, as long as you're, you know, you're active, you're, you know, it helps you build your endurance as a swimmer too. So you can do multiple activities to keep yourself in condition. But that was a great question. All right, I want to talk to you about next steps, because we're talking about what you can do now. We'd love for you to go and sign up, choose which class you'd like to register for. If there's not one that meets your schedule, let us know. I do always have options to say, let me know when there's more classes being offered. Share this with your friends. If tonight you figured out that this would be great and you want others to join you, try to motivate your friends to also do this. We have recorded these sessions, so if your friend wants to watch them and learn a little bit more, they can watch these. I will be making them available. And ask questions. You can, that's my email there. I've been emailing with all of you, so you have my email. Please never hesitate to reach out with questions. You know, we do have a survey where we try to learn from you, ask some questions. They help us improve our program. It also helps us understand who we're serving and how well we're doing. So I need to develop my post-training survey, and that might be coming soon too, and trying to learn from you after you've become a lifeguard. I think Zeppin has taken one of my post surveys, but it's great. We love to know what the experience has been like. We love photos of you lifeguarding. It helps us show other students what it's like. It's one of the ways that we just can build more awareness around this great opportunity. So thanks for joining us tonight. I have one last poll for you, and Haley, go ahead.
This poll is based off what you've learned today. How interested are you in becoming a lifeguard? Not interested, somewhat interested, and most definitely interested. And whatever you say here is great. We just want to gauge how much interest we have, and whatever you're feeling is great.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we have all of those. Oh, a couple more come in. We're getting a lot of most definitely interested and some interested. That's great. I would recommend it, definitely.
Great. Well, I hope you've been able to learn tonight. We just wanted to have you learn more. And it does, you know, these are all a personal decision, and I'm glad you've looked in and seen what it's like. I'm glad we've been able to share with you from the perspective of somebody who's been a long time career in aquatics to Haley, who's freshly a new lifeguard. So you've got you've got good folks tonight so that you can know what it's like. And if it's not right for you right now, just you know, if it is as you know, start your school year or go through the summer, whenever it is, you're like, yeah, I think I do want to try that. Come back to us, and we'll be here. So I just want to say a huge thank you for your interest in becoming a lifeguard and making our community safer around water. And if we can give a virtual round of applause to our panelists for being with us tonight, I truly thank them for their time. And if you do become a lifeguard through our program, I'm always interested in having you volunteer with us. So it's another way to earn volunteer hours. All these students tonight are earning volunteer hours. We have other ways to do that as well. And Haley, just huge thanks for being our moderator and doing a great job with us. Totally appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking the time. If there's no final questions, just really appreciate you being here tonight, and we will close out our workshop. Thanks for joining.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Oh, and thanks for dropping in our Instagram. Follow us on social media and help share our story and follow this journey.
Yeah.
And tell your friends.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much, Stefan and Haley. You guys were great. I'm going to
of course.
stop recording.